Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Tanner, and I'm the host of Self-Sabotage Solutions. On this podcast, it's my opportunity and my pleasure to be able to share everything I know about self-sabotage, but also I just really enjoy having other people come on to tell their stories. And I've had Nathan and both Jordy on the podcast before. They've shared their separate stories, but they are a dynamic brother duo, and very excited to be able to hear their story of like how it's evolved, and how they've been able to overcome self-sabotage together, actually. So very excited to have you both on. It's always a pleasure speaking to both of you. You guys want to introduce yourselves a little bit?
Hey, so I'm Jordy. I'm the medium and tarot reader that you've had on before, talking about my story.
Yeah, I'm Nathan. I'm the self-sabotage coach, just as Tanner is. I've got my own podcast as well. I've had Tanner on mine, and we're both pushing the same message and the same content. And I feel like Joy and I can both push that message too. And I'm really looking forward to delving into our story and how we were able to reconnect as brothers. So I'm looking forward to this chat today. I've been looking forward to it for a while. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get stuck into it. I love talking about this stuff. So let's rock and roll.
I'm excited for it too because I've been I've been hearing somewhat like you guys mentioned the story, so it's awesome. What's your guys' age difference again? How old are you both?
It's like 3 years and 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, 3 years, 9 months.
Yeah.
So I'm 28, Joy's 24.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, and you guys are in Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hours north of Melbourne from a city called Bendigo.
Yeah.
Jordy and I, Jordy was April 2nd, I'm July 2nd. So number 2 is our magic number, I guess.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
And then our grandpa
Is the 22nd of July. So
Yeah.
it's like 2, 2, 2, 2.
Wow.
So whenever we see those 4 2s, we know we're on the right track for those that are into their numerology.
Yeah, that synchronicity.
Yeah, that's it.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where do you guys want to start with your story?
Where do you want to start, Jordy?
I guess we'll just start from the start. So
yeah, let's do it.
Take
it away.
For the both of us growing up, it was an interesting dynamic. I was, as I've spoken about on your podcast, I was going through a lot, and Nathan had been going through a lot, and we were very disconnected, and it was quite hard between us because I guess with everything that I was going through, I just didn't feel like I had a support in Nathan, and I guess he felt a little bit of a similar way. Are you right?
I'm just going down, playing with the chair. Sorry, now we're right. Edit that out, Tanner.
No way, we got to keep that in. That adds the personality.
Yeah, it is. So I just playing with it. Oh, he looks higher than me, but anyway, all good.
I'm taller.
Yeah, you are taller. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. Carry on, Joy.
Anyway.
Yeah.
As long as you're right now.
I'm right now.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Now that we've sorted that out. So,
yeah.
Where was I? Well, with our story, I was saying we're very disconnected in that. With everything that I was going through, I felt disconnected, and I feel like he felt a similar way. But yeah, growing up, we just never got along. Like, we would have our moments, obviously, but we had a couple of things in common back then that we would talk about, but I guess our interests were very different. He was more into cricket and football, and which is AFL in Australia.
And cricket is like the other side of the world's version of baseball.
Yeah, I've heard of cricket before.
Yeah, cool.
And then I'm more interested in tennis, so it was very opposite with our interests, and I guess it was hard because I felt he picked on me a lot. I know siblings, we do that, but it was more intense, and it was all a form of bullying to a point of what I was copying, and it put a big strain on our relationship. So then I'll fast forward to the last couple of years. When we went away last year, we really, really came together. And we had a moment where we could actually tell each other, look, this is how I felt and this is how he felt. But he'd never realized that growing up, I didn't even think we would be speaking. I honestly thought once I got enough money and went on to the next phase of my life and he went on to the next phase of his life, I just thought we'd go our separate ways. I never thought that this was going to be how it was going to turn out. But I am grateful that it has. So
Yeah, now you guys are living together, right?
Yeah, I can fill in the blanks just a little bit there and paint you more of a picture of how this went down. So Jordy and I couldn't accept Jordy I struggle with accepting Jordy for who he was. Is for who he was and is. I had some stuff going on inside of me too, and I couldn't accept Jordy for being homosexual and being different. I wanted a brother back then that would play footy and cricket with me and do all of those things as brothers would do. But I guess a part of me was also embarrassed by Jordy, and I sort of like shunted him away. And when I went and did things with my parents or did things with others, I sort of just like not included Jordy. I sort of like excluded him from those things. And it was really hard for me to face that version of myself too. And and I said to you in the very first chat that I realized that I was a prick, but I wasn't just a prick to women. I was a prick to my brother. I was a prick to most people. And facing that during my healing was extremely powerful and shed a lot of tears. And and I guess it was just on a path of forgiveness for myself. And we'll just fast forward to that chat Jordy was talking about. It was pouring rain in Noosa one night, which is in Queensland for those that want to look that up later. Really awesome spot in Australia. And Jordy and I sort of had a bit of an argument beforehand, and I just sort of said, I just want to accept you for, I just want to be there for you. And because we'd already started coming together, and then Jordy opened up about his stuff, and then I opened up about my stuff. And then by the end of that chat, which went for few hours, I think.
Yeah.
We were both in tears crying. Like, it was the most powerful. I've got goosebumps talking about it now. It was the most powerful chat because we put it all on the line and said, look, it was just really intense and really awesome to have that chat with him. And that sort of gave us both closure, I guess, to move forward.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
And I feel just on that, us coming together started with all the COVID stuff, and
and some things went on in our house too that brought us together as well.
But it was mainly the COVID stuff to me that really started to bring us together, because for us, we only had each other, so it really kickstarted all of that healing.
Yeah,
that's really important, and that's so awesome you guys were able to. I mean, I feel like the COVID stuff was obviously not ideal, but I feel like for a lot of people, like, it created a situation where they were almost forced to heal, So I think that was pretty awesome that you guys were able to get that experience, make something out of it, and grow through it. So that's really cool. So you guys, when the COVID stuff hit, you guys went and moved to a completely different spot, or just stayed out there for a while? Why did you guys end up moving out? You guys are you able to share that?
Yeah. So when COVID hit first, I sort of found out all the information and stuff, and I was just relaying to Jordy, and it's like he just knew it anyway. So we sort of came together there, and then I'll tell you the full story. So about this time last year, almost, our grandfather's anniversary, I got goosebumps again. So obviously this is, Anyway, so he came into our house. He's always in our house, but he came through all of us, and he was in the bedroom of mum and dad, and the dog was going off its head. So obviously there was a massive presence there. Then he went into Jordy's room, and Jordy told me to piss off because he wanted to go to sleep. He was a bit tired. So he came into my room, and because we tapped into this through our quantum healing sessions through a really awesome person called Vicky, who will definitely watch this. So hi, Vicky. We love what you do, and we want to push you later. So quantum healing, beyond quantum healing, that's just tapping into the spiritual stuff. And it came through really, really big for us that our grandfather and our other people would come through with goosebumps. So I got the goosebumps that night in bed, and I just asked, "Is that you, Grandpa?" And I got the yes, and then I was sort of guided to ask, "Are we supposed to leave?" Yes. Are we supposed to leave this week? Yes. Are we going up north? Yes. And then we sort of just went, didn't we? Sort of packed up and left. And as I said in our Power of Words podcast, we were under the assumption that we weren't coming home, but the universe guided us back home because we did our work together. We came together as brothers, and we reconnected. It was time to go home and then get ready for our next chapter, which I'm really looking forward to as well. So that's pretty much how it all went down. Pretty awesome moment having our grandfather just come and tell us to leave was pretty epic, wasn't it?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome story. That's really cool that you guys were able to kind of like experience that, and you're so in tune with those feelings, and I guess that spiritual side of things, right? That's really what it is, right?
Definitely. I feel with all the COVID stuff and with everything that has been happening, it's really highlighted our spiritual side, and especially for me, going into the mediumship and tarot readings and stuff like that, it's never something I would consider I'd be doing. And I mean, I've always had a spiritual side to me. I've always been interested in all of that, but it never was something I'd consider I'd be doing with my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling me the story about like in your story where you talked about like how you first sensed it and you were scared of it.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you guys are embracing it now at this point and like listening to that aspect. I don't feel like many people kind of get to that spot. So when you guys, how long did you guys stay up in North Australia?
Ooh, 5-6 months.
Well, you came back in between, but
I came back in between.
I was gone for at least 4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
So then, now that you guys are back, you guys are living together, and how has your dynamic changed? Are you guys like supporting each other, building each other up? How's that working?
Yeah, I guess, we still have our moments like any siblings do, but we have learnt to handle those situations better. I feel like there's been a lot of personal growth on both sides to handle those moments individually a lot better, but also together. So I know for me personally, when things come up for me, I will push away. That's just how I am, and I'll know what I need to deal with. I know what's okay, this is coming up for me, so I'm going to go away and deal with it. Whereas for Nathan, he would want to talk about it, and he couldn't sense that for me something's coming up, and he'd be like, do you want to talk about it? I'm like, no, I'd rather just deal with it. And I guess that's been the more of the harder thing for him, is having to pull back a little bit to respect my boundaries and be like, you know what, I don't want to talk about it. I'm okay. I'll deal with whatever it is myself, and then if I need to, I will speak about it. Otherwise, it's just something that, it's just something else that I need to heal. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like everyone deals with these things in a little bit different way, right? So definitely important to realize how someone best deals with those kind of things that come up, and work behind that. But that's awesome that you guys are supporting each other now. So you guys were going to the beach recently together and like spending some more time together and things like that?
yeah, so we went to the beach. Was it a week or two ago?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday, actually. Yeah. So this time last Sunday we were at the beach. But yeah, we're factoring in more time for each other, but also times that we have for ourselves. So because I feel it's so important, especially for me, to have that time to myself where I do my personal growth, or I do my whatever I need to work on. I go and do that, or even just have some downtime to myself, because I'm someone who can take on a lot of people's energies and a lot of people's stuff. So it's just easier for me to just have a little bit of time to myself as well.
Yeah, same.
Great. So what other aspects do you guys want to touch on with your brother relationship here?
Well, there's a lot that we can touch on, and I guess Nathan being the one who woke me up to everything, and then being the self-sabotage coach, it was very easy for him to do all of that onto me as well, like be that coach for me. And I guess in a lot of ways he has helped me to be the person I am today, but also sometimes his approach with everything is learning, the right approach. Not everyone's the same. And I feel like that's something I've been able to help him with, is understanding that, each person is going to be different.
He's right, because I can be very direct and honest with people, Tanner, as you well know. That works on some people because I'll tap in and know that's what they want to hear. But I've developed that empathetic, that sympathetic side where if they need to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Comforted more in the terms of the information, then I can be that person too, and that coach as well. It sort of helped me develop my sensitivity, I guess, in terms of that stuff. Otherwise, if I hadn't have had Jordy as my little project, I'll say, as my little as my first client, I guess, because I was pretty brittle with him at times too, and he was like, whoa. But to develop that sympathetic, empathetic side as well, to help comfort, I guess, that, to develop that ability as well, holds me in good stead too. And Jordy we sort of have honest conversations together all the time as well. Over the last couple of weeks, I was sitting in some different things, and Jordy sort of pulled back, and then there was one night in the car, we were driving home from somewhere, and he just gave it to me, and I just sat there and listened, and I needed that direct feedback to get myself out of what I was in to then move forward.
But that's the thing with Nathan, is he would prefer it to be direct and
Absolutely.
not beaten around the bush or sugar coated. Whereas it's hard for me to be so direct, because I take in, obviously being so sensitive, I take into people's their emotions or how they might react, or I take all of that into account before I say anything or do anything. Most of the time, I do slip up every now and then, but most of the time I take that kind of stuff into account before I say or do anything. And it's hard to be so direct, but I'm like, with Nathan, he will take it. It's not like you're offending him or it's a personal attack or anything like that. He'll see it for what it is. Whereas if he was to do it to me, I could see how it's not personal, but then it can also be hard, because sometimes the words that get chosen are not the most appropriate, and it can be interesting.
Yeah, definitely understand that. Do you guys think your guys' differences in the approaches kind of like, because something I was thinking about the other day is, for each kid, they're raised slightly different from their parents, right? Because their parents are different ages when they're raising them. Like for Nathan, your parents would have been younger, while they would have had a little more experience and working with you, and then obviously we had different experiences like that. Do you think that plays a factor in kind of just like
absolutely,
nothing to blame on the parents or anything, but just like
absolutely, because no, it's actually spot on, but it more so in our household, because Jordy was really sick as a baby. I don't. Yeah, no, you can delve into that. Jordy was really. Jordy almost died as a baby.
Oh wow.
Well, I did.
Well, he actually did.
Yeah. So
wow.
I had a lot of issues and complications when I was a baby. And I feel like that is why the approach to the parenting in our household was very different, because of how sick I was as a baby. So it was more like I was sort of like wrapped in cotton wool, in a sense, just heavily protected. Whereas for Nathan, it was like, this is how the world is, so you could sort of see the differences, and it's not anyone's fault, it's just that's the cards that they were dealt. So I appreciate and I thank and I am so grateful for the parents that I've had, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for them. And I've come to understand that as adults, and being an adult myself now, it's like I accept that we all make decisions, and they did the best they could with what they were given and how they were taught and how they were raised. So it's up to them to do their healing work that they need to, so they can be the best versions of themselves as well. And definitely along the way in our childhood, we saw some of that, and we saw some of the harder times, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I love that because I just always tell my parents is like, I'm so grateful for what you guys did for me, but it's I don't blame you for anything. You guys did as best you could. Um, yeah, so I love that fact. And actually it's super interesting you're talking about how you had died. I wonder if that kind of influenced like you getting more of like the like psychic kind of like spiritual stuff. And you kind of feel like as soon as I heard that, I was like, what? Like,
Yeah. He
I was
probably
like,
should have mentioned it in his interview a couple weeks ago, but maybe it's supposed to come today.
I definitely feel like it has helped with the spiritual side of things, and it's definitely. I've done a little bit of research on this, that a lot of people that have actually, died at some point in their lives, they become more interested in spiritual, or they become more interested in life and how it works and how it operates. And it definitely makes sense for me, because I felt like from being a little kid, I've always had an interest in life, in death. Well, not so much death, because I used to be I was scared of it.
That was a trauma, yeah.
But yeah, just the interest in all the spiritual side of things. And I don't know if this helps, but I was certainly watching a lot of those supernatural, those sort of spiritual scary movies for a while there. Got really into them. um Not that that helped or anything, but it was just, it was, to me, it was always so interesting. Yeah, so I guess I've always been interested in anything spiritual.
yeah, definitely probably piqued your interest more and probably didn't help with the scared part of it because those things can definitely be spooky. But yeah, that's awesome. That's really interesting. And I think it is really interesting kind of how like it has changed like how you guys both like accept help and things like that. And um it's really cool how you guys are like working together to become your better versions of yourselves. And obviously it's not going to be like always super easy. Like I know like when I with my wife, when I was trying to share her with her my information, we definitely had some of those like fights back and forth where like she didn't want to give up coffee at all, and I was uh like we got like multiple fights about it, and I was like, she's like, stop bringing it up. I was like, the only reason why I bring it up is because I really care about you. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't bring it up because I know it's going to cause a fight. And once I said that to her, she was just like, whoa. Like, she's like, say, I didn't think about it that way. And I was like, yeah, I literally wouldn't even touch the subject because it just pisses you off. And then after that, she just gave it up after that point. Which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, it's like, it's just like you were, like I was super direct. And she didn't need that at the time. She needed me to be more like understanding and kind of like explain more and come from a different point of view. So I think it's awesome to have someone like that you can like work through those things and grow, and to have your brother to be able to do that, that's so cool.
And I feel because we are so close, I can, if I need to set boundaries in other areas of my life, I feel like it always starts with Nathan. I can start implementing some of the things that I need to for myself with Nathan, and then see how that goes. And then if I need to fine tune it for other people, or other areas of my life, I just feel like he's my test dummy in some of the things that I set in my life.
But he's also mine as well.
Yeah,
he's definitely mine as well.
So do you do like practice your like psychic stuff and like tarot readings and stuff on Nathan then?
Yeah.
But I already know.
It's more or less it's more or less he comes to me for confirmation of what he's getting, or what he's or the message, or whatever it is, or whatever it may be. It's more of this is what's come to me, is this true? And I generally, depending on how I'm feeling at the time, whether I want to tap in for it or not, most of the time he'll get an answer of, but he's like, yeah, but I want to make sure. I'm like, but
yeah, he's telling me to trust myself.
Yeah.
It's what we say all the time. Yeah, that's been interesting too. It's like I'm starting to do that more now, where I trust what I'm getting too, because I've got these abilities as well that like I can see futures and see different things too. But yeah, I just need to trust myself more, and that's my lesson, I guess. Yeah.
And I feel that that all comes with understanding of who you are. And I
Correct.
feel with life, we all go through little challenges each day, and it can either make or break us, in the sense of it can shake our world a little bit, or we can view it for what it is, that it's a lesson. And I feel, a lot of that goes back to the self-growth and understanding who we are and understanding the person that we are. And we all have that battle every now and then, and that goes back to trusting yourself. So I feel with Nathan and I, depending on the day, we might be going in and out of that, where at some point we're trusting ourselves, or at the other time where we're not.
Yeah. Wow. It's definitely a powerful story you guys have together.
Leave it. Yeah. Sorry, we lost you for a second there. Nathan was playing around. Don't know why, but
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We got you back
great.
now.
I was saying it's definitely a powerful story you guys have, and it's awesome to hear that you guys have had such growth. You guys still there?
Yep,
Yeah, sorry. Nathan's, I don't know what Nathan's doing. He's having some trouble, but it's all good now.
We're right.
Perfect. I was saying that's definitely a powerful story you guys got there. Like, you guys' growth together and being able to rebound off each other. It is, I feel like, really important to have that person to be able to grow off each other. And do you guys have any future plans together? Like, you guys are like, oh yeah, like we're gonna build this together, or we're gonna do this together, or any future ideas you guys are planning on?
I feel for the position we're in right now, our main goal is to at least get us up to Queensland, and that's what we're aiming towards, because that's where we want to at least live. But I feel like a lot of our lives will be separate, in the sense of he's got his journey and I've got mine. But for the next probably couple of years at least, I see us at least we'll always have each other, but I just feel the next couple of years of our lives will be sorting out where we are going as individuals, instead of where we want to go together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you guys are moving up to Queensland. Are you guys going to plan to live together for a while, or are you guys going to find your own places?
Yeah, we'll probably live together for a while, get sorted and situated in our lives, and then see where that all takes us from there, basically.
Great. Awesome. Well, let's dive into another topic, unless you guys have anything else to talk about with your brother.
What do you got? Anything else?
Yeah, I guess it's just, for us, it's just a lot of growth, and to see us where we are now is just amazing. From being those kids that would fight all the time. I always remember hearing Mum say she used to hate taking us out in public, because we would always be wrestling and always be fighting with each other, and it'd always be a competition on who would be sitting in the front seat, or just little things like that. And I know that's what siblings do, but I guess for us it was always taken to another level, and
especially on the tennis court.
Yeah. And
no, I'm not joking.
Yeah, some of those tennis matches, they were interesting.
Yeah,
and I guess to see the growth and to see the position we're in now is just absolutely amazing, that we have grown so much as individuals, but also together as brothers and as siblings. So
that competitiveness still comes out on the tennis court and the table tennis table, though.
Awesome.
That ain't going to change. We're still going to be competitive and want to beat each other.
Yeah,
it's just different from what it used to be, because it used to end in fights. Now it ends with us shaking hands.
Yeah,
and that's
awesome.
That's a big growth. Yeah,
that's great. I feel like the competitive thing is not always a bad thing, right? If it turns into the fight, then it can be, but it can, encourage you guys to be, better than you were before, and kind of like, oh, you want to be better? You want to be better? Oh no, and then kind of like, boost each other up. So yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are playing a lot of ping pong and tennis then?
Yeah. So I guess growing up, because being the tennis player and being the one that was getting coached and everything,
I'd beat him.
And he would beat me, and it would always frustrate me so much that he would growing up, that he would beat me.
But all the time, though, Tanner. Like, I'd beat him all the time.
And now that
Oh yeah,
I've gotten better and
got
I've
good
got
then.
and I've lost a lot of weight, it's like, well,
he
you know,
flogs me now.
I can easily beat him.
He flogs me, and I'm like, we're not playing this anymore.
And that's why we play table tennis, because it's a little bit more even, you know.
Oh, I've always had the wood over you on table tennis. Always had the wood over you.
Get a few wins every
Yeah,
now
you
and then,
can.
but it's a little bit. It's just that little bit more even.
Yeah,
but
they're tight tussles.
yeah, the tennis court is now my domain.
Yeah, I can't match it now. He serves too fast. He hits the ball too hard, and then because I love the pace of it. So what he does is like he slows it down, and I have to make my own pace, and I just hit it out or hit it over the fence or something.
Yeah, and it's so funny
Frustrates
because
me.
when I play Nathan, I know how to beat him now. I've got that set game style, and then when I play other people, it can throw me because I'm like, or you know, it's not. It's like I don't know how to play them, because not just because I haven't played them before, but I sort of get lost in what they're doing and not focusing on what I need to do, if that makes sense. Like it's so interesting how I've got that set game style to beat Nathan, but then sometimes I will not implement it when I should, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like self-sabotaging yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
But I feel like I've gotten a lot better at that in the last couple of times that I've been playing. I've gotten a lot better at the mindset that I have on the court and implementing my everyday life, or my tennis mindset in my everyday life. It's kind of a mixture, because I would always consider myself very different on the tennis court. I'm more of a quiet person off the tennis court, but then on the tennis court, you'll hear me. I'll be screaming, "Come on!" I'll be aggressive, and I'll be loud, and all of this, like, almost you could consider it a bit of anger and frustration used to always come out on the tennis court, but then off the tennis court, completely different.
Have you ever heard the saying "white line fever," Tanner?
White line fever? I don't think I have.
Well, in this part of the world, there's a saying called white line fever, and this is how it is. So when you cross that white line, you turn into a different person. This one has white line fever.
That's awesome.
But I've done so much work that on myself, and that it's starting to implement on the tennis court, where I'm not as loud. Like, yeah, I'll say "come on" or something, but it won't be as loud, or it won't be as aggressive.
Yeah.
Because I noticed one of the last matches I played, I was a little bit extra aggressive, and that was because the other guy was kind of annoying me at the time, and I really wanted to beat him. Because then when I would say "come on," and then if I won a point, then if he won the next point, he would be yelling "come on." I'd be like, "Nah, mate, nah, I'm not having this. I'm not having this." So, but I've noticed, yeah, I've toned that down a little bit, where I'm not so in your face, and it's a lot better now.
Do you think what's allowed you to do that is like addressing your feelings? Because it feels like it almost, just from like an outside perspective, like when you went on the tennis court, it was like your outlet to get like your emotions out, and to get like that anger that you had pent up, like out. Like I'm gonna hit this ball super hard. I'm gonna get up in your face because I don't do it in my other part of my life. So I'm gonna get it all out now. And then since you've like been addressing it now, it's
that is exactly how it was. I had a lot of feelings and emotions bottled up that I couldn't express growing up, and so it would always come out on the tennis court. But I would always shock myself with how much was in there, and I'd be like, "Where is all this coming from?" I would step off the court sometimes. I'd be like, "I don't know where that came from." It was just all bottled up, and I've noticed, because I'm dealing with my emotions better, I'm allowing myself that time and that space to feel them and to release them. Whereas on the tennis court, I'm like, there's not much bottled up down there. So it's like, I remember there was one time I was playing recently, and I was like, I was getting really into the match, but there was nothing coming out. I'm like, where's that? Let's pump ourselves up. Where is this? There was just nothing there. I'm like, because there's no emotions bottled up there. So I couldn't feed off any emotions that were stuck in there. I had to find that sort of adrenaline rush from somewhere else, from more of a natural way of, of playing well and just getting into the match into the mindset of being positive, to find that adrenaline rush that way, instead of from those negative pent up emotions that are in there that are just coming out and needing to be released.
Wow, that's powerful. And I feel like that's both me and Nathan have kind of talked about this before, where we had those pent up emotions. I remember that one, I think it was on your podcast, we talked about how we would hold up all the emotions and then we would just start crying at like random like movies or TV shows, like at the most like ridiculous spots. It's like I've been looking over like my wife, I'm just like crying. She's like, "Why are you crying around?" Like, I don't know. Like, it's the same way. I'd be like holding all those emotions in, and then they just be ready to come out. And Maya was like, "Oh, I guess now's a good time to come out. Let's let it out."
I was the same as that too. I'm a sucker for like those. I shouldn't be, but
You are.
I am a bit of a sucker for those, like The Voice and those kind of shows.
Oh.
I know they're not good, but I'll still watch them. I'll still allow myself. Anyway,
Rubbish.
anyway, I'm a sucker for I was always a sucker for a sob story. If you came on and be like, my father passed away and I'm performing for him or something like that, you got me. I'd be balling. And then if they sung like a really emotional song, yeah, you got me. But
he knows what they're doing now. He knows they're trying to trigger an emotional response from people.
But I've noticed,
which is good to know.
But not just that. I've noticed, because I've been actually dealing with my emotions, the sob stories don't get me. Like I noticed, if I'm watching it with my mum or something, she'll be crying, but I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, look, the story's sad, but it's not gonna make me cry.
Yeah, it's so interesting how like I feel like especially for men, right? A lot of men like hold that in. Um, we just have that societal perspective of like, oh, you gotta be a manly, you gotta hide your feelings. But I feel like part of being a man is feeling your emotions, and letting your emotions come out and facing them up front. Like that, I feel like that is manly in itself, is to like face your emotions instead of bottling them away.
That is something that I've had to deal with a lot, is because when I was a kid growing up, I would cry at the drop of a hat. I could easily cry. I could easily allow myself that space to cry. And then getting into it, teenage and young adult, there was a switch where and even now, and even a little bit now, I still can't cry. So it's hard for me to cry, and I'm having to do a lot of work on switching my mindset, in the sense of, it's okay for me to feel, it's okay for me to cry if I need to release, and a form of releasing is crying. If I need to allow myself that space to do that, it's just not holding it in, because I could easily cry, but I've been having some trouble of taking that next step to actually crying now. It has to be something. It has to be something worth crying about for me to cry. If someone's passed away or something, then yeah, you'll get me to cry. But I'm still having to do a bit of work on that, to allow my space that allow myself that space to cry. And it's because of the upbringing, because of being a sensitive kid. I was always told, I shouldn't be crying, or I shouldn't be upset, I shouldn't be this, I shouldn't be that. So I locked my ability to cry away. So having to unlock that again and allow myself that space is where I'm sort of working on myself at the moment.
Well, that's strong. That's something I'm trying to be real conscious about with my son, who's 8 months old. Like thinking about for like the future when he can more understand, like not saying those sorts of things to like, why are you crying? Why, like allowing him to feel those emotions, like whenever, even as a baby, right? Like if he's crying, this for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
that's so important.
I was just gonna say, even being males, we were always told you would have to man up,
Oh,
or grow up, or and being told that all the time when you're crying it's almost like you're saying, so I'm not a man because I'm crying. And for me, that was something I would go in and out of, because being that sensitive, more feminine type of person, it's hard to always be told, oh, okay, so you're viewing me as more of a female because I have emotions, because I'm crying. Like, it messed with my head a lot, and having to deprogram and get rid of that is what I've been really working on lately.
Interesting.
I'll
What
say.
was your experience with that, Nathan?
Mine was different, but also this not really the same. I wasn't really sensitive, but I'm developing that sensitivity. But for me, I suppressed tears as well, but I did it in a different way. I suppressed all the anger and all that stuff, and then it would come out in other ways, not just on a tennis court. It'd come out towards different people and things, and like news stories or things people would say to me, family, and that would just trigger a response from me, usually in an angrily way. But since I did that very first quantum healing session, I cried in that at some different things that came up, past lives and this life, and then that sort of opened my emotions, because then that's when, over the last 3 years, that's when songs would come on and different things. I'll be like, oh, why am I crying? But now I understand more so why I'm crying, because I ask that question and I get that feeling and that answer from my body or from the guides or whoever's around me will tell me, oh, this is why you're crying now. So like 2 weeks ago, I shared that song, I See the Light Surrounding You, Don't Be Afraid of Something New. Well, when I first reheard that song, it brought back some stuff from high school. Because I listened to that song in high school quite a lot, and I was crying listening to it. So then I listened to the words and read the words, and I thought, no, that's an amazing song. I'm gonna share that. But I was crying because there was some stuff from school that I had that came up, and that song brought that up, because back then I was afraid of being something new, and I was afraid. What was it? I see the light surrounding you. Don't be afraid of something new. So don't be afraid. Yeah, just like don't be afraid, because I was always afraid as a kid, and as a teenager, and then that song just brought all that back up. So yeah, pretty awesome song for those out there that love the music. Evermore, I See the Light Surrounding You. Really awesome, powerful song.
I was gonna say, when it comes to music, it's so powerful in the sense of the certain type of music that you can listen to. And I know for me, growing up, I talk about tennis a lot, we've spoken about that, but music was always something that I could escape to. And I used to grow up, when I was growing up, I used to listen to certain music, and I would never speak about it, because to me, it was not viewed as the manly type of music to listen to. So for me, I used to like, if you were a female singer, but if you had a big voice, that's what the kind of music I'd always listen to. And I've noticed now that I've done a lot of self-growth in that, it's not so much about the voice or the artist, it's more about the type of song I want to listen to. So if you have a song that makes you feel good, that is a upbeat, and it's a feel-good song, I'll probably listen to it. It doesn't matter who you are. And I'm noticing with music, it's so powerful in the way that we listen to it, and it can really help us in any way. Back when I used to hate myself a lot, I had a sad type of song playlist to listen to, and that would drum up a lot of emotions, because they were all songs that was so about depression, anxiety, and all of that kind of stuff that made me feel worse in a sense. And I've noticed that I had to get rid of that so that I could be listening to more to music that would actually make me feel good. And lately I've been listening to Jewel. Don't know if you've heard of her. She has a lot of interesting music in making you feel good, or even if she's singing about something that's sad, it's still making you feel good because she's putting that positive spin on it. Like, she has a song called Down So Long, and some of the lyrics are, I've been down so long, but I'm getting myself up, or something along those lines. And just listening to those more positive songs is actually making me feel more positive as well, in myself and just in all of areas of my life too.
I feel like that's so important to address, because like so many people like you, like when they get sad, they listen to those sad songs, right? And it amplifies it, right? It it really brings you to, like, because music can really do that to us. And I think it's partially just has to do with like the energy, like the frequency of the music, us like that, and like that emotion it brings up within us. And it does really affect you. Like I totally know what you're talking about. Like I know times like when I've like broken up with like a partner or something like that, and I always listen to like these sad breakup songs, and I always be like in like the worst mood after I listen to those songs, and then I was like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? I started like listening to happier songs, and that totally affects you. So that's awesome. You've been able to address that, change it.
But I also feel in those moments sometimes that those sad songs can actually help you release those emotions because they're singing about something that you're feeling in that time. So it can be viewed as negative as well, but you can also have that positive spin on that. Maybe you needed to listen to that song to get the emotion out, and then it can lead you to those more happier songs. So but for me, I would abuse that. So that's why I couldn't have that positive spin on it because it wasn't leading me to those happier songs. That was at the time it was leading me to the more and more and more sad songs to make me feel worse, worse and worse. So now I've changed that to listening to positive songs to make me more and more positive.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good point because I feel like with any negative emotion, right, you got to feel the emotion first and not just
Yeah.
like reject it right away. Like you got to like, okay, why is this here? Feel that emotion, and then if you sit there and dwell on it for like over and over and just make it worse, that's when it's self-sabotage. But you
Yeah.
got to feel the emotion first. Actually, so that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I had the trouble of doing. I was in that spiral of just going down, of even just spinning around in that same position, but just going down, and I couldn't get up again. And once I did a lot of work on myself, changed a lot of my habits, it's become a spiral of going in an upward spiral in a sense. Like it's just going up and up and up, and I'm just shining more and more, and it's coming out at my work. So I work at a cafe, and I feel like for me, it's coming out. I can, with some of the changes that have happened and the new owners that have come in, I feel like I can actually show more of my personality because with the last owners I couldn't because a couple of things happened. But I feel like areas of my life are starting to shine, and I'm starting to see that growth, and it's becoming empowering for me, and I'm seeing the growth within myself, but I'm seeing it in different areas of my life, and it there's no negative at the moment. Work used to be, but now that's changed. So I'm seeing the positive in work, and then I'm seeing the positive in my medium and tarot stuff, and then I'm seeing the positive on the tennis court, and it just seems to be all positives, and it's helping the growth within me.
That's powerful.
That is powerful.
You got something to say, Nathan? Look like
No, I'm
you were
just
deep
sitting
in thought.
here. It's the same for me too. It's the same too. Like I'm seeing that as well. If one area of my life was off, well then my work would be off, or not really more so the stuff I do off, but other things would be off. Like Jordy has his tennis side, my cricket, so I'd be off on the cricket field as well. Like I'd just not perform usually. But the last few weeks since it's been the same for me too. Like, I've been my growth too, seeing that in all other areas of my life as well, has in turn made my whole life better. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm just sitting in awe of what Jordy's saying. And yeah, Jordy. If you had told Jordy 4 or 5 years ago that he'd be sitting here with me recording a podcast, he would have said, "No, there's absolutely no way. No way would I sit here with that dickhead doing a podcast with him. Like, no way."
I think I will just say, I think back then putting dickhead is a very nice way of putting it. It would be a lot worse if it was actually from me, my 4 years ago self saying that. It wouldn't be that nice.
Probably not. No. Well, dickhead's probably a more gentler term then, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel for me that was so important of having those positive parts of my life, because I felt if something was off, it would affect everything, and that's the kind of person I am. So if something's off, it'll affect everything, and that's where I will really push people away, or
push me away,
or it affects a lot of different areas of my life. So work will be off, and this will be off, and that will
be off.
And, and tennis would be off, and I've noticed having having the positives in all areas of my life is keeping me up. So yeah, I will say I had a bit of a late night last night. I was talking to a friend on the phone, and
I woke up this morning. I'm like, I can't believe you had a late night, Jordan.
But I've noticed that, yeah, okay, I might be tired, but it's not affecting all areas of my life.
No,
I'm not the way I used to be, in the sense of when I was tired, you don't want to be near me. But
yeah, he'd be like a hurricane, mate.
you wouldn't want to talk to me.
Hurricane Jordy after a late night, holy dooly.
I would be so grumpy. I would take it out on everyone. You wouldn't want to talk to me. You wouldn't want to be anywhere near me. Family used to just, if they saw me in a
walking on eggshells,
But I've noticed now when I'm tired, it's really not like that anymore. Yeah, I'll have a couple of moments, but I'm very quick to bring myself out of that. So if something was said,
like to me,
if something was said, yeah, I might sort of take it, and then I'll be like, oh, hang on, and I'll stop myself, and then I'll bring myself back out of it. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer, or it might be a really quick thing, but yeah, I'm just noticing there's just so many positives in my life that I'm just like, I can't even keep up.
That's the thing about the positives, because over the last few weeks, I was sitting in some negative stuff that I will eventually talk about very soon, actually, either on my own or with you, Tanner, or yeah, I'll definitely write a blog and share about it. But over the last few weeks, seeing Jordy be so positive, like my subconscious was seeing someone positive. So it actually inspired me to get out of the shit that I was in.
Awesome.
So you know how you surround yourself with better and you become better? Well, having someone actually be so positive and so much better than in a mood than what I was in, because I was sitting in some very low vibrational feelings, seeing him be so up lifted me up.
Not in the moment.
Not in the moment, but it eventually lifted me up.
So I was going to say,
it got there in the end. It just took a few days.
It just, a couple of those days, he was seeing me positive. So it was like, I'm going to bring you down. But
yeah, that's my subconscious wanting to bring him down. But
for me, I didn't allow him that. And I feel like that actually annoyed him a little bit more. And that's when the switch happened. It was like, okay, well, I can't bring you down to my level. So I'm going to get out of my shit, and I'm going to get onto your level.
Yeah, my subconscious was like trying to bring him down, and my conscious, I was at war with my mind. Like it wanted me down and wanted me up, and as soon as I was like, no, I'm flicking this switch, and seeing him up raised me up. Just took a few days.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome story.
Yeah,
I feel like that is so true, and it's amazing, Jordy, like how you facing your emotions and changing your thought patterns has really changed your whole life, right? Because you started having more positive thoughts, and then you start having positive aspects everywhere in life, right? And it's because like your thoughts are literally like a reflection of your world. So when you start to have more positive thoughts, when you start to feel more positive emotions, you're able to actually feel and experience more positive things. So that's awesome.
And I noticed, so on my Instagram, I haven't been this week, but I generally will write quotes, and I'm noticing even they're more positive than what they used to be.
Yep.
When I first started, I was more or less talking about being in a slump or something, and then having to get yourself out of it.
Because you were in a slump.
Because I was.
Yeah, you were like that.
And I'm noticing my quotes are more positive,
because you're more positive.
Yeah, and even the ones that I haven't written this week, I found, it was like make tomorrow the day, or I can't remember it, but it was something about making tomorrow the best or something.
Make tomorrow the day you've been waiting for.
Yeah, something like that. And it feels so much more uplifting for me. And in those quotes, they literally pop up on my Facebook, and I'll either want to share them on my Instagram, or I'll share them with a bunch of friends to help them in some way as well. And it just goes back to, because I'm in such a more positive phase of my life, it's the things, even some of the daily readings I'm writing, I'm surprising myself, and some of the quotes I'm writing, I'm like, where did that come from?
He's channeling that.
And it's just so exciting to see where this next chapter of my life is going.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
I'm excited for you.
It does sound like you both are like building off each other and helping each other.
We
like
are
in
now,
so many
yeah.
aspects, in so many ways, and like the work you guys are doing alone is then benefiting each other, and like you guys are building up, and like
Yep.
that's awesome.
And it goes back to Nathan has written a lot of affirmations that I put up in my room because he channeled them for me and he knew what I needed to hear in those moments. And I never admitted this to him, but at the time they weren't quite working because I didn't feel like they were right at the time.
They are now.
But I'm noticing now they are, and it was like maybe I needed to shift a bit more so that I could feel those affirmations in the position I'm in now instead of feeling them when I back then. And it's just it helps that being the self-sabotage coach, he can do some of that work on me without me even realizing, or I might even ask for it, you know. And it's awesome that I've got someone like that who can help me in whatever I'm going through.
Yep.
And that's vice versa too. Yeah, over the last 12 months, you had a bit going on, Jordy, so I sort of helped you as well. We sort of helped each other. And then as I had stuff going on too, he sort of then took the role to help me. And now it's like, well, if you're up, I'm going to be up. And if I'm up, you're going to be up too if you're down. It's like we balance each other out more now. We are soulmates as well, for those that are wondering. We are soulmates in brotherly form. And when we found that out, that was pretty cool to find out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
where do you guys figure that out from? Sorry.
You can cover that one?
No.
You guys able to?
You were
Oh, I did too, yeah. So I did a session with Gina, who was on my very first podcast. She's an awesome lady. She's a kinesiologist. She's so much more than that. She's a special friend of ours. And it was like literally the first 5 minutes of walking in the door. She's like, you know, you and your brother are soulmates, don't you? And I was like, that makes sense. So yeah, it just made sense as to how close we were, and how close we are, and how we actually do balance each other out. It just all made sense in that moment. And then it's like, yeah, we actually are. And I didn't know you could be brother. I didn't know you could be brotherly soulmates. I just thought it was you meet your soulmate who is your lover, I guess. But to have that in brotherly form is pretty epic.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's a special bond, and I'm very grateful that we were able to reconnect and we have that bond now, and that bond can't be broken. And I'm so grateful for that, because it did hit me really hard when he said those things to me in that chat, that he didn't want to talk to me, didn't want anything to do with me once he got financially able to leave. He wanted to just leave me behind. But hearing that, yeah, it was really hard. But to hear that, and then now to move forward and to have him in my life, and to have a best mate that's also my soulmate, and that's my brother, I wouldn't change that for the world. And to hear him say that those affirmations worked, well, I don't think I've told you this either, but some of the stuff you have said over the last 12 months, and some of the stuff you have helped me with, in terms of the saying you always say, it's not forever, has helped me immensely. And some of the clarity and the advice that you do give me, that you don't give much anymore now, but when you do give it, it does help. And if it wasn't for you, I'd still be sitting in those feelings for the last few weeks.
But even in those moments, it took a lot for Nathan to realize that, yeah, okay, I was pulling back, and I was for my own boundaries, and that it took a little bit for him to realize that wasn't going to send us back to where we were. It wasn't going to change anything between us. And I feel like he needed to go through that so he could understand that if I pull back, it's not going to mean you're losing me. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means for my boundaries and for my protection, I just need to pull back a little bit so that you can do the work you need to, so that you can get up to my level. And it doesn't mean that I don't, that we're just going to go our separate ways. And, it doesn't mean any of that. And it just took a bit in that moment for him to see that and realize that.
Yeah. Wow. That is really powerful. I mean, your guys' whole story is powerful and super inspiring for like, all the other like siblings out there who like totally are against each other, that there's a chance they could reconnect. And just imagine like if you guys never had reconnected, two
I don't know
soulmates.
where I'd be. I don't know where I'd
Yeah.
be, and I don't know where he'd be.
Yeah. I don't know what could have happened if we hadn't have.
But for those siblings out there, if one of them's a bit different and you're struggling to accept that, then maybe give us a call and give us a message, because we can help, because we've been there. Yeah, I was just channeled that. It's like, it's okay to be different, and we can accept each other for who we are. And that was my biggest lesson in terms of allowing Jordy, like accepting him for who he is. To finally do that was another massive weight off my shoulders too.
And to add to that, the ones that are feeling the way I have felt, having gone through all that, you can't look for acceptance because you're different in others. You need to look for it from yourself. And hearing that from Nathan, yeah, that makes me feel good that he accepts me, but I needed to accept myself first before I could allow that in as well, because I needed to find that love and that acceptance for myself, so that when someone else has it for me, I'm not looking for more of it in other people. I already have it for myself, and that's just an added bonus because it's someone else. And I felt like it piled on more. I would pile on more on myself because I was wanting it not just from him, but I was wanting it from myself, and I couldn't give it to myself because I didn't know how, until I did all this work on myself and realized that it's got to come from within before you can search for it from others. And it really, well, you really shouldn't search from others, but it all just comes from within, and we all have that within us. And I felt like it allowed Nathan and I to become closer because I had that from within before I could properly allow him in and hold space for him.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important to give yourself the love and accept yourself in the moment, because just like you were saying, like some people are waiting for that validation from others, but we can't control other people, right? Like
No.
at the end of the day, like we can only control ourselves. And most of the time it's great to hear other like validation from other people, but what we really need is that validation from ourselves, because that is really, really, really important, because we're the ones who are with ourselves all throughout the day, right? We have our thoughts going through our mind all the time. So it's you might hear one good thing from someone else, but how many negative thoughts may you have that cancel that good thing? So it all starts from within. I completely agree with that, and that's awesome.
And even on that, this is something I actually haven't told anyone yet. Because of the more positive and the more accepting and loving I am of myself, at work, I actually got a $7.50 tip. Like, and that was the first I'd actually gotten a tip from being at work. I've worked there since September of last year, and I'm just noticing, because I'm more positive within myself and I'm more accepting and loving of myself, more of my personality is coming out with work, which means the customers are feeling that as well from me. So then it allowed me to show a bit more of myself, and also just have the customers feel good in themselves. And I mean, I didn't expect the tip, but that was within 2 days of getting something like that. So it's exciting.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, that's so true, right? Because like having that positivity just really affects the whole world around us. I know I've talked about this before, I think probably with both of you, how actually it's one of the books I'm reading right now from Bruce Lipton. It's called The Psychology of Belief, and he talks a lot about, well, he's a cell biologist, and he's one of the first ones who discovered that it's not only just the genes that control your life and control the way your cells will multiplicate, it's the environment, which is really a lot of like the things we put in our bodies, but also our thoughts. And then he started learning into quantum physics. And quantum physics, they discovered that below atoms there's different quantum particles, which are really just energy. And so really my point here is that everything's made up of energy. So when you are starting to be more positive, you really are affecting the world around you. You're sending out those positive vibes. So it does have multiplicative effects. Like in all aspects of your life now, you're seeing positivity. You're getting tips. You're more clear minded on the tennis field, and both you and Nathan have seen that positivity coming through, and I'm sure both of you have noticed when you are negative, it does affect you as well, and it affects the people around you, right? So like it's just so powerful to be able to hear these stories, because for someone who doesn't really believe in these things, like it showcases just how powerful our thoughts really can be, and why addressing our thoughts and being more mindful of the things we're saying to ourselves and accepting ourselves and feeling those emotions is so important. So thank you guys for coming on and sharing the story. It's so amazing.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I have to do it again, I think.
Yeah,
we definitely do. Yeah, it's awesome. So you guys kind of already shared like your tips, I guess, for everyone else. Is there anything like last points you guys want to make before jump off this? Like one last thing you want to say?
Well, we always say it. I'll say it again. For those out there that really resonated with, and that was, some words in there might have triggered something inside of you, good or bad. We're here all the time. Reach out anytime. You can flick me an email. You can shoot me a DM or whatever. Like, even if there's siblings out there that are watching this and they're probably thinking, oh, I would love to be closer with my sibling, like, reach out to us, because we've lived that life, we've lived that journey, and we understand. We understand, and we can really help. If you would like to reconnect with your sibling, we would love to hear from you, and
we can
help you out,
and we can provide those tips and those tools that worked for us that might even work for you, or you might find within those tips and those tools that we give that there's something in there that you can adapt to and change to make it your own that will work for you and your sibling. And the last message I want to say, which is something that I have said for the last 12 months, is it will never last. It never lasts forever, and it'll never be like this forever. And I feel like that is so important. And that has been my motto of all those down moments, and to get myself back up, is that it won't be like this forever. And if you feel like it will be, that's because that you're making it a reality. And I feel like by me saying it won't be like this forever, I'm not allowing it and not making it a reality. And I feel it's just that little positive spin on a dark moment or a thought or a negative thought that has been able to lift me back up.
100% agree. Yep. If you let it, what you tell yourself is going to become reality. If you tell yourself it's going to be like that forever, it's definitely going to. So that's why that's why I've done so many talks about, the power of words, because it really does affect your life. So yeah, I love that, guys. I love your tips. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely keep in touch, and anyone who's interested in contacting these two, I'll have their links in the description down below, emails, whatnot. So you guys definitely contact them if you guys want some psychic work or medium work. Make sure you contact Jordy. Yeah, self-sabotage, especially teens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Make sure you hop on over to Nathan here. He can help.
Or
you
if your siblings, we can definitely help you together.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's something we're going to do together, Jordy. We're going to help some siblings out.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey, a new future you guys got. Opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, guys, we will keep in touch. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you guys subscribe. Put some comments down below. Like, we will all keep an eye on it, and answer any questions you guys have. And give us a like and share us around so more siblings and can really hear the story. There's a lot of siblings who are just not connected with each other, when who knows, they may be soulmates, just like these two amazing brothers here. Nice. So give yourselves the opportunity to connect with your loved ones, and have a great night, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.